All right, good morning, everybody. I had some weird sleep last night, heard a weird noise, and was investigating, so I was up around 2:30. So yeah, there seems to be quite some stir about the whole working out thing. And we have already established that we are addicted to the hormones. Our whole life is about the hormones, which hormones are going to be dominant and present, and that's going to dictate how it is that we feel, what it is that our behaviors are going to be, and everything else. And then there's marketing campaigns tapping into your hormones. There's foods that bring up and massage and manipulate your hormones. There's music and group action that plays with your hormones. And then there are daily exercises and things people do like yoga and meditation and all these different things that people do to also manipulate their hormones. So I knew that exercises, when it's like working out and not just like hiking where you go and enjoy nature, it's not walking down the block or going shopping. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you go to a gym and you purposely, intentionally work out because you either want to look good, which, okay, I get looking good because we have a specific standard that we live by, especially if we're looking for a mate. I get that. But it seems the predominant addiction to working out, because people can look good after a couple years and then they can stop and chill out and then just do maintenance working out just to kind of keep those muscles up or keep the definition up. Oh no, it turns into an addiction. And then you're going to get an addicted person because it creates dopamine and GABA and serotonin. That's it. And the endorphins. Those are the hormones that people are addicted to. And they will defend their addictions to the very end. Look at the cannabis users. When I'm going attacking their cannabis product and saying that, yeah, it contributes to causing cancer as well as the aging process and the death process, oh man, people get insane around attacking their addiction. Okay? So, yeah. So now I'm saying, okay, work it out. Now, how I knew this was because I knew that working out created an antibiotic effect. But I didn't articulate what does it mean by antibiotic. What the heck does that mean? Because you're not taking an antibiotic. You're not, playing in the holistic world doing creams and stuff with antibiotics. Oh no, antibiotic induces antibodies. And when you induce antibodies, guess what that does? That creates natural killer cells that destroy and age the body. See you later, Eliza Jane. So I'm going to delete Tony Cordova's question. And I'm going to say I'm on Facebook Live now. I'm on Facebook Live now. Please do not debate with me. Please. God damn it. Please. Hold on. Do not. Because people are when they want to feel good, they will find ways to find a hormone. They will find a way to find that drug. And I've seen it. I mean, I've seen women look beautiful. They look wonderful. And then they'll keep working out. And then you see the aging process happens. So how do I know this? Well, I knew about the antibiotic effect, but how did I, like when I first started working out a little bit, and that was back in 2005. And it was actually on the heels of a breakup. So I was in a breakup in San Francisco. And I was also really like chubby. I was eating a lot. I was unhappy in a relationship. I was eating out all the time, and I was steadily gaining weight. And so steadily gaining weight, but whatever. I didn't really think too much of it. But as I look back on the pictures that I look like back when I was in San Francisco, I looked awful. I actually have a picture when I was in China. Oh my God, I do. It's right here, actually. Let me show you. This is when I was going. I was at the Great Wall. Look what I look like. You see that belly that I had there? You see, I just looked inflamed. Okay, so this was before I started working out for a very short amount of time. But I went to China in like August or something like that. And so I got like the vaccine, the yellow fever shot, got a little sick in China. And then, and so we were home for like a week trying to get well because we couldn't go and on another plane to do the natural wonders in China. We did the Great Wall and we did the southern part, of course, because that's where my friend lived. My friend Ivy lived there. I met her in college. And so we went to the Great Wall and then came home and I was like, okay, so what do you do for a week when there's really nothing to do? You're hanging out in a village, sort of like a village city type of thing. And it wasn't like a village, but it was a city, still like rural. But my friend lived in a really huge, tall building. And it was, her dad, I guess it was, not her dad, but her uncle taught, I think, like English or something at like Beijing University. So he lived in like government housing and it was guarded by guards at gates. And then there was all these flights of stairs that you go up. So it's like, okay, I'm bored and I need to work out. I'm really feeling fat. So I was also eating the Southern Chinese cooking, the dim sums. Everything was steamed. But I was also getting diarrhea too, because I was, it was different food. So it was messing with my stomach. So in between, all of that, I'd be going up and down the stairs. I'd be running up and down the stairs. And I would just force myself, run up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And I'm like, okay, cool. So then I started doing that all the time. And then I was in a breakup. And then my ex-boyfriend and I broke up when I came back from China. I moved into, that's right, into a friend's house. And then I moved to Hawaii because I just wanted to get away. It was just a bad breakup, so I wanted to get away altogether. So I just left my job, left everything, went to Hawaii, lived there, and I started running miles. I started working out at the MCBH, Marine Corps Base, Hawaii. So I was on the ellipticals for like an hour a day with my friend because I started a job at an insurance company actually. And I was carpooling with her to work. And so, yeah, so we started working out after work and I did an hour a day. And then I would run from where I was living when they were in prayer sessions. I was at a Jesus cult that I wasn't really belonging to, but I was just exploring it. And I would run from there to Starbucks, and Starbucks was all over the place. So Starbucks was like my reward. And I would run for a few miles and then I would reward myself with a bunch of Starbucks. And then run back. And I felt amazing. Okay. I felt amazing. It was like my peak. And then I left Hawaii, moved to Sacramento. And when I moved to Sacramento, I was running and it was like, it's so hot over there. I mean, Hawaii is like wet heat. It's like humid, wet heat. And then I moved to Sacramento, California, which is like dry heat, so dry. Oh my gosh. And it was like 105 degrees. And I was fine. I would be running. And I looked like I had the most like cut body and I look great in a bikini. It was probably the best I've ever looked in a bikini throughout my whole life because I always had a little poochie and it was gone, or I mean it was pretty much gone, and I was really skinny and I was stressed out trying to figure out the job. And that's when I started getting into the actual insurance world. And then I started doing work. I worked at a mattress store and did all this stuff, and I stopped running. So and then I just started doing going after my career. Okay, so, and then I guess over time, the weight started coming back, and of course my hormones were all out of whack. I wasn't doing anything to help my hormones. I wasn't doing anything, and it did made me feel good a little bit, but it was more for the aesthetics. It wasn't for like the opioid effect. Okay, So for some reason, work and everything else came first. So now, fast forward to current day, and I don't know what told me when I started the protocol about working out, because I noticed that, and this is what kind of clued me in, because I have friends and family. I want to say friends, okay? I have family and friends that were drug addicts in their younger years, addicted to something, alcoholics, okay? And they went from being alcoholic drug addicts to then working out. And they were crazy around it. It was like such a crazy addiction. And I know that they didn't fix themselves because, in the context of the Matrix, you just trade one addiction for the other. So it wasn't like I knew about the hormone effect, so to speak, back earlier on in the protocol. I was looking at my life and everybody in my life, and I watched the behaviors of people that were ex-drug addicts that then transitioned into the working out and the running and the triathlons. And then I saw the next phase in their life, they triggered an autoimmune disorder. And you can say, oh, correlation doesn't mean causation. Oh no, but it does, because there is something about working out that makes people feel good. When you're chasing a high, it's a drug. No different than doing methamphetamines, cocaine, cannabis, alcohol, taking your prescription drug, whatever the case may be. When you're out there running, and it's such a socially acceptable drug. Methamphetamine isn't, because it makes you look all scabby and gross, and then you have weird behaviors. Oh no, when you have something like Jack LaLanne or Jillian Michaels or all those workout artists out there, and they are aging rapidly in the Matrix. No, they're not doing Jilly Juice. Of course not. But you see what working out does. It doesn't contribute to long life. Okay, Tony Cordova? So anytime I put something on Facebook that is a statement, I do not need your or anybody else's defense of a drug called hormones. Now, how I figured out it's hormones. Now, I know that when we, we're peeling back the layers of all of the programming, and I am now figuring out the 3 things that kill people is a hormonal imbalance, is overabundance of candida, is overabundance of natural killer cells. And then we're seeing people taking hormone replacement therapy. We are seeing people eating spicy foods, which is not on my protocol. We are seeing, because that induces another hormone effect. We are seeing people addicted to sex, addicted to love. All of that creates hormones, and it turns into an addiction. And it's not about looking good. You're right, Jennifer. And it's not about looking good anymore, because you can look good in like 3 or 4 months or 5 months. Oh no, it's about an addiction now. Now you just tapped into a hormone that you can't get enough of. No different than going to have sex with a bunch of different women or the same woman all the time, because you need to get that oxytocin charge. No different than jumping into a thing of cold water and totally stressing your body out, and then you're feeling energized all day long. You know what energy is? Energy is hormones. When you see the Polar Bear Club, that's what they're doing. They're bringing up a hormone. When somebody has a hormonal imbalance, guess what they take? A hormone. Guess what? Vitamin D. You know what that is? It's a hormone. When you go outside and you get sun therapy, there's light therapy clinics for people who have skin issues and other issues. Guess what that light therapy is doing? It's bringing up a hormone. So exercise and working out is no different than having a cheat day. Okay, you have to treat anything that induces a hormone as if it was your day to have a cheat day, your day to feel, because you can feel good without working out. You can feel good and get oxygen in your blood and oxygen in your body by just walking around the block. You don't need to go and run. You don't need to make a destination to your gym. You don't need to go say, okay, I'm going to run for now, 50 minutes or 1,000 hours or whatever it is that people do when they think they're being, disciplined. You don't need to do that in order to live and oxygenate your system. You can very well sit on your ass and feed your body the right nutrients and elements and still be just as healthy because you have a muscular system. Why do you think you have a muscular system? It's not like you have to build and develop muscles. They're already there. The reason why they're there is because you have to walk around and maybe be able to lift something. And then if you do have a fight or flight, like Jennifer was saying, like an adrenaline, your body is able to then carry you through that specific process. It's not something you need to go and work out and make your muscles so bulging that it does mutate a person. You've seen people out there that are bodybuilders. They're taking the hormones over the top. Women bodybuilders completely mutate their body. Yes, it's great that they've disciplined themselves to then get that six-pack and a cut body, but they are also putting so much stress on the body that it does age them. And it almost makes them look a bit more, well, I don't even say it, forget it. But it makes a difference. It hardens your features. So women that work out too much, tapping into those hormones too much, and it could be bringing up testosterone too, I don't know. But it does change your look. It hardens your features. Can you find a happy medium, Tony said? No different than a cheat day. Spices that induce hormones are not on the protocol. People do, I know it. Donuts and gluten and gluten-free, cooking the nuts and getting them down to a powder to make bread is not on the protocol. I mean, there's a very specific diet that is a blueprint that you work from. However, we know not everybody can do the diet 100%, so you just manage what you can. Some of you are trainers. Well, you don't have to train with your clients, okay, in order to show them. You can show them how to exercise. And if that's what they pay you for, that's what you live your life, that's what you pay your bills with, because you're a trainer at a gym. I get it, but and do you have to look like this cut person? Okay, I understand that too. You got to look like what you're training, right? So that way they have some faith that you can build their muscles too. Then you really need to drink a shit ton of my juice. And you need to maybe cut down a little bit and say, okay, I'm going through you can tell your clients whatever you want. You don't say call it a detox process, but in a way, that's the way that's friendly, that's user-friendly out there in the matrix, because everybody understands detoxing, right? It makes you kind of sick and you're going through, but when you do this Jilly Juice, you may lose a little bit of the muscle definition. But no different than when you do Jilly Juice and you kind of gain a little bit of weight because you're so skinny, or you are maybe very, like I never gained weight when I was on this protocol, but sometimes some of you may increase some of your weight because of increasing water weight. Your fat cells are fluctuating, and and you have a lot of poop and all that stuff, or it's getting redistributed. Now you're feeling like a little lumpy over here because your poop is getting pushed down as it's trying to leave the body, but the body's fighting you. Not so much the body, but the parasites and the fungus and all of that. So you're going to go through a morphine process. But what you want to do is you want to see progress in your main issues that you came into this protocol for. Okay? Working out is going to undermine. Well, here, Jennifer, it's like this. You don't need to induce any natural occurring hormone inducing practices or whatever. You just go, all you do is you just drink the juice and go outside occasionally. Okay, live your freaking life. You don't need to induce hormones, whether it's synthetically or naturally. They're there to keep the balance. They're there to keep the cells healthy. You trying to go and compartmentalize is no different than allopathic trying to give you a drug for pain in a specific area. That is both the allopathic and the holistic industry's downfall, is that they've had you snowed into thinking that you must induce hormones. That must be something that you have to do. No. That's why I'm like, when someone said you're going to have seasonal affect disorder when you come to Ohio, because I'm from California. I get all the sun. It's a golden state, right? Like, I came from California, lived in Florida, lived in Hawaii. And then I come to a state like Ohio that has 6 months, of winter. Okay. So it's like, okay, so I did have seasonal affect disorder prior to the protocol, but then that's no different than all my hormones being all messed up anyways. Then I get on the protocol. My PMDD is gone. All of that. I mean, I was going through my fluctuations anyway, so I couldn't tell if it was seasonal affect disorder or something else. So, so hold on a second. So yeah, I mean, I remember that in the beginning I did have something that was like a seasonal affect disorder, but now I don't have that. And they're like, oh, what do you do for seasonal affect? Oh, you take vitamin D and everything. And I'm like, no, first of all, you don't take any vitamin D. That is a hormone replacement therapy. Okay? That is hormone replacement therapy. And so all you got to do is just drink the freaking jelly juice. And animals don't go and work out. The reason why they go on that little treadmill thing is because they don't when little hamsters go on the treadmills, because they're under stress. They're locked up in a freaking hamster cage. So they go on the hamster wheel to relieve stress. That's the way animals cope. When prisoners in a jail, what do? They work out. You know why? Because it's a serotonin, it's a drug. Since they don't have readily available drugs unless they go and pay for it or be somebody's bitch. No. So what do? To relieve stress being in jail, which is what you guys are doing, is they go and work out and they build big muscles. Okay? So, yeah. So if you want to be like a prisoner and you want to go work out, animals in the wild do not go and work out. They use their muscles as needed, not because it feels good. When you do anything that feels good, you are going after the opioid effect. And so the three things that kill people are hormonal imbalance, too many natural killer cells, antibodies, and then too much candida. And the hormonal imbalance is huge. But that also stems from the too much candida and then too many natural killer cells. So anytime I say something on Facebook, Tony or anybody else, for one more reiteration, don't debate me. Just say, hey, do a Facebook Live on just what you're talking about. Okay? Jillian, do a Facebook Live just to clarify. Don't give me your science that you learned in the Matrix to justify chasing after the drugs, because there's so much science out there that will back up why people need to be drug addicts. No different than all the science that talks about the wonders of vaccines. And you see how science can really be manipulated into deceptive practices to make something that's not good for you sound amazing. All right? So That's my whole point on this is just do the Julie juice. Dispense with the opioid addictions, and if you're addicted, taper down. Because yeah, it can be rather anxiety ridden if you work out every single day to get that high and then you just completely cut yourself off. Start incorporating. Start incorporating Jilly Juice and then tapering off on the workout sessions. Really, it's about feeding your body. Feed your body. And you're right, Jana. Every single time you run, you're running years off your life. Every single time you work out, you're working out years off your life. Every single time you smoke a cigarette, you take 7 minutes off your life. Every single time you do something that induces a natural killer cell or an antibody, when you induce immunity in your body, you are taking years off your life. Now, if you have a countering force that adds to your life, then you're going to be okay. But if you do too many things that take away from your life, then yeah, it's no different than any kind of fractions. Okay, you got to have more of the good than the bad, but you have to understand what the bad is first. It's not like it's bad, but it's all about imbalance. Right now, you guys are way behind the 8 ball. You can't even determine balance at this point. You got to go from one extreme to the other and then achieve balance. That's what I'm saying. You have to understand Jilly Juice, go from one extreme to the allopathic holistic world all the way to Jilly Juice and understand both. But you already understand the allopathic holistic. Now you got to understand Jilly Juice 100%. So you can make the distinctions, and then you will achieve balance because you understand what it is, what it's like on the other side. No different than learning somebody else's argument. You don't argue against somebody else's argument if you don't even know their argument. If you can't even debate and sell somebody why they should do Jilly Juice when you say you hate Jilly Juice, then you shouldn't even be debating Jilly Juice because it means you don't even understand the argument on the other side to cause them to feel this way or to cause them to lean this direction. There should be nobody out there debating with me if they don't even because once they understand where I'm coming from, they won't debate. Doesn't mean they have to do it. Everybody has a choice. But if you fully understand where somebody's coming from, then you deserve every reason to debate. You deserve every reason to put out all of your science. But you don't even need to because I already did the science. I already know the science behind the allopathic holistic. I know all of their propaganda. You don't need to go and reiterate their propaganda if I'm saying something the complete opposite. That's why I delete people off my Facebook, because they want to defend their drug habits. They want to defend their cannabis. They want to defend their working out. They want to defend all of their hormone-inducing protocols. They want to defend their food. Well, fine. If you want to go and do drugs, you don't need to tell everybody about it. Drugs are not on the protocol. But if you do, okay, fine, that's part of your process, but you know that's not the intention of the protocol is to do drugs, whatever they are. But you know you need to transition off of them. I'm not talking about you, Jennifer. We're talking about like Tony and other people that are like debating against, working out and stuff. But I have people on my Facebook that like to debate me because they don't like the fact that I am going after their drug, or they'll laugh at it. So, all right. But that's the thing with the working out, is treat it as if it was a piece of candy. Treat it as if it was a donut, your one cheat day. Okay? That's all. Treat it as if it is something that you know is not good, but you're going to counter it. So if you have to go and play sports, because maybe you play for, I know some people are sports stars. I understand, Christine. Thanks, Tony. But there are some people who are sports stars. That's what they do for a living. Well, and you know that it's going to be hard for them to go through this transition process and still be up to their game. And that's going to be something they're going to have to deal with. Can they do Jilly Juice and repair even when they're inducing hormones when they're playing sports? Because sports is that's why football is so popular. That's why they put sports in physical education in schools as well as colleges. It brings up hormones and it feeds into a hormonal groupthink manipulation. You ever go to a football game? That's so many hormones all in one flippin' area. That's the adrenaline rush, is when you go to a football game, baseball game, whatever game. It doesn't matter what it is, your kid's soccer game. It's a hormonal rush. When you put your kids in sports and swimming and gymnastics like I did, ballet, any of these different types of sports and art, which really physical, it induces hormones. You got to realize that our whole world is surrounded by hormones. So now everything that you've ever learned in school, you'll still remember it. Question why it exists to begin with. Question why they circumcise babies to begin with. It induces hormones. So they're already on a death trajectory right out of the gate. And now they have adrenaline rushing through them and other hormones that are now coming to surface. So they start out in this world in the medical system here already terrified and full of adrenaline, and then getting cut without any anesthesia. Oh, you'd think they would put anesthesia on a baby. Oh no, they just do it straight up without. That's some barbaric shit. And then from there, then you get the vaccine to then create more natural killer cells, then to create more hormones. And then what else? What's next? So that's why we have to question every single thing that we have come to know that is normal in our society and realize where it comes from. It comes from a hormonal basis point. Once we get our once we stop the barbaric circumcision practices, we get our kids out of these gladiator schools where they're not in this crazy fight or flight type of situation. Hello, Zadi. And we homeschool our kids and we're all 100% well balanced ourselves as parents, we would have peace on this earth. The fact that we don't have peace on this earth is because of the way kids are starting out in life, whether it's in a war-torn territory, or they're getting vaccinated, or they're getting circumcised, or they're getting abused. That's why we don't have peace on earth. It's because they've already induced hormones at an exponential level, even in the womb. When you're getting amniocentesis, when you get amniocentesis, that is an upset of homeostasis. Every single thing they do in the medical industry induces hormones. You have got to realize that's what, and even in the allopathic and the holistic too. So I knew, my sixth sense told me when I first started this protocol, and they were and I was making those connections to extra addicts that turn into physical, running enthusiasts, to then autoimmune disorders. And it was like clockwork for both of them. Both ex-drug addicts went into, let's run ourselves to death. Let's be the super mom. They got their degree. Well, one of them got their degree and had a kid, and now, both of them have an autoimmune disorder. One has rheumatoid arthritis, the other one has lupus. It was like clockwork. And then they both have kids that have health issues. That's not like, that should not be a surprise. Not at all. So when you start looking at the patterns around you, you start making the connections, and you understand the 3 things that kill people and mutate them, you're going to be like, holy crap. When you have to go and chase after a feeling, then you're addicted to a hormone. They call it drugs, but it's also a hormone. Because those drugs create the hormones, or induce, not create, but they induce and tap in and manipulate certain hormones to bring up a specific behavior. So that's why the English language is so deceptive. Thank you, Jennifer. The English language is so deceptive because of different words for the same thing. But there's context and there's intention and there's specific measurable results. And that's why I bring that in all the time. Understand the context. And understand the laws. If you don't know the laws, then all the stories are going to be so fun to believe, because then it will confirm and support your addiction. Because Tony, that blurb that you gave me about how it oxygenates the cells and does this, that's why you need to for longevity and all this other stuff. That's a load of hogwash. Look at Jack LaLanne, Tony. Look at all those health and wellness workout artists. Look at Suzanne Somers. You think her doing all of her workout stuff really helped her any? You think it helped her longevity? Oh, wait, but you have a perception that you die, right? Is that your perception? Or wait, could you change your perception and say, hey, maybe people shouldn't die. Maybe people shouldn't look old and aged and decrepit like they're from the crypt. So this is where Jilly Juice has you challenge every single perception out there. Because in the context of Jilly Juice, if you're 75 or 80 years old, no one would ever know it until you showed them your driver's license or your birth certificate. That's how it should be in our society. You would never know anybody's age. You'd automatically assume that everybody is 30 years old or 20. But the reason why we have these ages with a perception around them is because it contributes to the death process, the hormone-driven lifestyle in our world. But Jilly Juicers, you'll never know who they are. You'll think that they're like, one of those young person just out of college or something, or just, in the middle of their career. Because you've seen them, the 30-year-olds that are in the middle of their career. They look great. They're the ones that you see on the Bravo channel, on $1 Million Listing. They're taking people in their best years of their life and capitalizing it. And then as they age, things start falling apart. And then guess what? They're getting absorbed by the system and then disappear. And guess who gets all that money and all that stuff? The state does. Okay, so yeah, if you're on Jilly Juice, no one's going to know your age unless you tell them. Or they look at your driver's license and they're like, what the fuck is this? Then they're going to think that you're a criminal because you stole somebody's ID. They're like, you're not 75. You look 30. What the hell? That hasn't come yet. That day hasn't come yet. But eventually it will for a lot of us. And we will cross that bridge when we get there. But luckily, this is out there. So if someone ever questions your age and your ID and all of that, they already know about Jilly Juice. It's all out there. I'm not erasing any negative press about Jilly Juice, because I've had these reputation companies asking me, hey, you want to buy our services by erasing all the negative press about you? Oh, hell no. That is going to be your insurance license, guys, that are you doing the protocol, and you're doing it 100%. Because once, someone Googles Jilly Juice and she's talking about, Dr. Phil and reversing the aging process and living to 300, 400 years old, they're going to be like, oh, wow. Then they're going to, take you in and put you on a lie detector to figure out who the hell, you have to do a fingerprint, do a dental exam. I don't know. But that day hasn't come yet, but it will. So right now we're still safe, we're still safe. Yeah, Tina. Oh, yeah. Yes, the age, yes. They have a great looking body, but you see it in the face. The face is the telltale sign of what goes on in your body. It really is. It really, truly is. So, there's something to be said for just looking at the people before you that are doing all of the running and the exercising. And you look at what they look like. Do you want to look like that? When I was looking at the Real Housewives of New Jersey, and Teresa Giudice is trying to be a bodybuilder. Yeah, her body looks great, but man, you can see it in her face. It hardens the features. You've got to soften your features. There's no reason for anybody to look like they're inducing hormones. There's no reason. But I guess, hey, there's people out there that like it. Well, it's no different than addiction or attractions to different biochemistries. You'll find your like kind, but then, you're like kind if you're all about hormones and inducing hormones and all of that, then yeah, you'll be on that death trajectory together. And that's why you see some people that have cliques that like all go to football games and they all go drink and then they all go eat out and they all go hang out together, and that's their only clique, is because they all have the same type of hormonal type of balance, biochemistry. And so someone new comes into a group and their biochemistry is a little bit different, a little bit everything, they're not accepted. There's a reason why, because hormones does create cliques. They do. And if you have a different hormonal balance, people feel that. Okay? So, yeah. All right, I'm going to go. I got things to do. But you guys just take that for what it is, Try not to debate with me. Be really just, instead of giving me all your science on what you whatever, just say, hey, you know what? Can you do a Facebook Live to clarify what you mean? I'll be more than happy to do that. No one needs to go and pull, text or things or, to prove their point. It's not a pissing contest. This is about understanding where I'm coming from, not imposing where you're coming from. From the point of view of Jilly Juice, not from the point of view of the Matrix, but the point of view of Jilly Juice. That's very important to understand so you can stay on this protocol and not deviate from it. So you're right with that word, even though it was like a typo on your end, Tony. Don't deviate too much from the protocol. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Very good, Christine. I look forward to seeing your progress too. All right, take care, guys.